What's happening, YouTube? Today we will be looking at Broly after he's injected himself with the venom. You know, he decided that Jiren shouldn't be the most muscle bound person in the show anymore, so he said, let me take this venom real quick and get real Ak. But all jokes aside, this figure right here, there's actually a decent amount to there's a decent amount to talk about. On the surface, it looks like it could be like the perfect rendition of Broly, but it isn't quite. And we'll get to that when we start talking about, sculpt, articulation, things of that nature. But as usual, the overall look of the figure is pretty good. I have him posed up right now, but I'm gonna have to take him out of the pose to show you his articulation and certain paint details and whatnot. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So I'm gonna unpose him real quick. There's a big guy, so and we'll go over size in a little bit. This figure, starting at the head. Let's talk about articulation. His head can look down that far. Get the silhouette, side point of view. He can look up, not that far actually. And he can't look up that far because of all this hair back here. It bumps in when you try to lean his neck back. But he can look down pretty far. And with a character like this, he's probably always gonna be looking down on his enemies anyways. As far as arm articulation, wait, we're not done. Oh yeah, you can tilt his head to the side a little bit. Not a whole lot, but it's to be expected with all this hair and bulk. It's only so much you could do about that. I mean, I guess there's always a way to engineer something, but the more engineering I think that goes on, the more it can, ruin the sculpt. So it's like a pick your poison type of deal. Um, Moving on to the arms, of course, rotate all the way around. Upper bicep rotation, double jointed elbow, a hinge at the hinge at the wrist. It doesn't work the best because, like you can see, as I'm moving it back and forth, limited range of motion. But let me pop the hand back on. What else? Hand, bicep swivel, double jointed elbow. So standard for the arm. Standard for the arms. Oh yeah, butterfly joint, which works. This joint, butterfly joint. He can touch both his hands together if you want him to, or almost at least, at the very least. Very close, which is not bad at all. Going back, not the farthest. Not the farthest. In terms of torso articulation, he can. Oh, you hear that squeaking? Oof. He could crunch forward a little bit. He can move back barely any. And as we go through the articulation, you can start to see the flaws that I might have been talking about. Due to his bulk, and I think they could probably engineer the torso better, but he's lacking in articulation in the torso, which is something to definitely work on. These characters are always going to be in these dynamic poses, so they got to figure out a way to get some more range of motion in that this for this diaphragm joint. And I think there's a lower waist joint as well, which is what allows him to even crunch this far forward. So forward is pretty okay, pretty decent. Back isn't very good at all, to be honest. his skirt piece or his waistcoat is articulated, so it doesn't impede and get in the way. So that's a really good thing. Whenever a character has a piece that could impede the leg articulation and they figure a way around it, that's always a beautiful thing. Now let's move on to the leg articulation. Forward, pretty damn far. That's pretty good. I can't lie. That's pretty good. Now let's see back. He could bring the leg back. That's really good. Once again, double jointed knee. It's pretty good. He's a bulky guy. He got all that muscle, so that's always something to keep in mind. Hinge joint at the ankle. Toe joint. Works fine. Ankle rocker. This definitely does have an ankle rocker. I'm not going to say it's the best ankle rocker, but it's pretty decent. Kind of a swivel at the top of the thigh. But in all, the articulation, I would say, is like a 7 out of 10. I think some of it is because, you know, the articulation is lacking because he's a bulky guy. I think some of it can be engineered better. But in all, it's not too bad. It's not the worst. Definitely not the worst, for sure. What else? Oh, yeah, the overall look of the figure. I think he has a similar thing to the previous Broly, where I think the skin is painted very nicely. Like all the musculature has like the like this different paint where it's darker in the definition of the muscles, which allows the sculpt to really pop. I just wish they did that somewhat for the legs, like a darker shade of purple, so the leg muscles could really pop. But other than that, I would say overall look of the figure, the aesthetic is. Wait, before I say that, watch. It's something that's very subtle, but I noticed that ever since I got this figure. I was looking at this figure and I was like, this figure looks a little frumpy. I was like, why is that? Like, it's like his legs a little too short or something. Now, I'm gonna show you what this other Broly figure, and there's your size comparison too. I would say that this, like his shin, that lower leg portion on this figure is a bit too short. If they extended it a little bit, his legs wouldn't look so short. Because I kept on looking at it, I was like, something looks off. And I think that's what it was. Because if you look at his feet in comparison to his lower leg, like they almost the same length. Almost. Not quite, but almost. I figure, and now I guess would be as good as any time to do height. He is a little bit, not a little bit. He's basically at 8.5 inches, a little bit over 8.5 inches. So there goes your size. He's a big boy, especially for a SH Figuarts Dragon Ball figure. Definitely bigger than most of the figures. Like here's him next to Ultra Instinct Goku. He next to a child. He looked like he next to a child. But with that being said, I think we went over all the like aesthetic and stuff and articulation. Moving on, let's move on to the accessories, and then I'm gonna show you some pictures at the end, and then I'll let you guys go enjoy the rest of your day. Now we move on to accessories, which he doesn't come with a lot of. We'll start with what he actually has on him. Out of the package, he doesn't come with this face, but this is the face I happen to have on him. The evil grinning face, which is very reminiscent of old Broly. And I want to talk about that in a little bit after we go over accessories. But yeah, it's actually a very well done face. Make sure I get some light on it. Very well done face. Very well done face. He comes with one grippy, well, two of these grippy open palm hands. Two of these relaxed open palm hands. Right now, what I got on him is one grippy open palm hand and one relaxed open palm hand. Two fist hands. And of course, we get the two faces. We get one kind of mean mugging face, and we get one screaming face. Now, as far as accessories, this is going to get an 8 out of 10, if only because it's not much else you're going to give Broly, you know? It's not a whole lot else you're going to give to him. So, except for maybe an energy blast effect, which is something that pretty much all DBZ, DBS figures, Dragon Ball GT figures, they all can use energy accessories. But besides that, there's not much more else you could give to this guy. Besides, like things that are wrong with the base figure, which is like, articulation, maybe a little bit more paint, but the paint is actually pretty good. So overall, 8 out of 10 for the accessories. Um, 7 out of 10 for articulation, 8.5 out of 10 for the overall look of the figure. So, I'll average out. This probably doesn't average to this, but maybe 8 out of 10 for the figure. Like, it's a solid release. I think the main thing holding this figure back, like I said, that one proportion problem, but I don't think most people will notice that anyways. I think the biggest thing that'll hold this figure back is the articulation, which isn't bad to begin with. It's just not, you know, the greatest that it could be, or at least the greatest I think it could be. Now, there's one last thing I wanted to say about when I was talking about the evil smiling face. That evil smiling face would be perfect if they redid, the OG Broly, the original, the classic Broly, that was actually evil and not just misguided. So if they ever decide to redo that Broly, I think they should use this face because that evil grinning face is great. I also hope if somebody that works in Tamashi Nations happens to come across this video, please use the Dragon Ball Z Fighters model for Broly as a sculpting reference. I feel like that body shape that he has in that game, Dragon Ball Fighters, I think that's perfect for OG Broly. It's not quite. It's more blocky and less organically. Like the muscles look a bit more organic on the new Broly. But the old Broly, his muscles are a bit more blocky, and he was just huge in general. I mean, they both huge in general, but still, you get what I'm trying to say. Either way, that being said, I hope you all have a blessed day. The reverse flow out.